Okay, folks, here we go. This is the grand final. This is the women's 8 final. The women's double final.
Yeah,
Sorry. Yeah. I'm very honored to introduce Sarah Trowbridge. This summer, I was, of course, the Olympics were spinning around. I said, oh, geez, I got to run up to the store. And I ran up to the store, and there's a little Italian pizzeria up here, and they have this. You just can't explain it no other way than they have a huge Mama TV. I mean, this thing is enormous up on the wall. And as I was going from this store, because I wanted to get back to watch the Olympics, I was going to that store. Boom, there was rowing. Because I was, just going by, and I saw it, and I ducked in, and I ended up spending the next hour in a pizza place, just drinking iced tea. Can I have another one? And watch it, and there comes Sarah down the race course. Sarah was here 2 years ago, and I put it in this way. Somebody asked, well, how was Sarah? And I said, it was like a jolt of espresso. Sarah Trowbridge, all yours.
I think there are a lot of very, inspirational stories or stories about challenges like we've definitely all heard before. And so this is really just my story and kind of how I handled this last year. I'll give you a little bit of a backdrop. I rode, just starting my senior year in high school, I rode in Connecticut, and I went to University of Michigan. I had primarily sculled there, and I was pretty small for the program, but slowly worked my way up, started in the novice boat my freshman year, and worked my way up to the 1B, and decided that I wanted to keep rowing, and then I thought I had more speed to give, and I really loved it. So I went to Potomac Boat Club, which is near where I grew up in DC, and worked with Matt Madigan there, and a few of the other athletes that have gone on to continue coaching. And that's how I started on the elite scene. And out of Potomac, I made my first team, Pan American Games, and then non-Olympic Worlds in 2008. But it wasn't until after that I finally worked my way up to Princeton, which is where most of the national team trains. I don't know how familiar you are. And I wouldn't say I was really invited to Princeton so much as I showed up and said, hi, I know you really wanted me here. I mentioned this the last time I was here, that I chalk up some of my experiences with coaches as just misunderstandings where I'm pretty sure I'm the greatest rower in the world, and they just don't understand it. So, I got to Princeton, and they were pretty straight up with me. I'm not necessarily the typical rowing physiology. I'm much more of a sprinter. I'm short. And my endurance, I just never had a very good erg score for the elite level. But I think I rode pretty well, and I usually have successful time in races. So it was a very challenging year in 2009, and after being told no, and you should probably go do something you're good at, and I really don't think this is going to happen for you. And about 20 seat races, I made it into the World Championship quad. And we actually went on to get a silver medal, which was the first time in that event since it became a modern quad. And so that was an amazing experience. It was with 4 scrappy girls. I think we had a weight average about 150, 155. It was a small boat. And just some great athletes, and it was an amazing experience. And each year sort of happened like that. I would start at the bottom and climb my way back up, so I was in the quad again in 2010. In 2011, I actually won the double, so it was my second time winning an NSR, and went into the double with my partner, Kate Burko, and that was when we were in Bled. So that was 2011, a year before the Olympics, the qualification regatta. And we got a silver at a World Cup, and things were going really well. I just could feel this kind of momentum building, and we get to the World Championships, and it just doesn't go quite as planned. There was a lot of good things to take away about how you can be having great momentum, and it just doesn't quite work out. But I thought, leaving there, that I actually learned one of the most valuable lessons. I had, for the first time, come up against these athletes like Catherine Granger, her partner, Kim Crow, absolutely insane rowers. They were just insane. They were like anything I hadn't seen in quads. And they were very fast. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is what it's about. It's not about beating our heads against each other back home. Like, we got to bring USA sculling to a whole new level. And so I left that regatta just so motivated. I mean, beyond motivated. Like, that alarm clock wasn't waking me up in the morning. It was something else. Like, just ready to go, put in the meters. I knew I was going to have a fight like I had every year, but I thought, like, I'm looking beyond that. I'm going for the Olympics, and I don't even want to just get there. I want to crush people. And so, you know, I'd always had problems with endurance, especially 6Ks. And so, like, I was always told to do more meters, train out that kind of fast twitch, and just ride the erg more. So I did it. Like, I was putting probably 220, 240K a week, probably easily 40K above some of my peers, and I just hit the ground running, like probably 2 days after Bled, like just going. And we came up on a 6K leading into the winter training trip, and I think that I had maybe focused a little bit too much on my plan and working so hard that I had not remembered the reality of the situation, which was that I was going to have to beat all of my teammates. And I think, you know, I might have slipped up here or there. And so we come into this 6K, and to me, seemingly unfairly, I was given a standard when no one else was. I was told that I had to go only 7 seconds, not a lot, but 7 seconds faster, or I wouldn't go on the winter trip. And so I was like, well, I'm used to this. I'm used to these challenges, like, fine, push my buttons, I'll answer back, I'm doing all this work, here we go. And I start going after it. You know, I have like a couple weeks until that date. So we get to this 6K, and I think it was like 21:40 I had to break. You think I would remember this, but I actually don't have a very good memory. I think I forget all the pain, and that's why I actually can keep coming back. But we have the 6K, and I didn't make it. I didn't break 21:40. And I went up and I pled my case thinking, like, you know, but like, here are all the things that I have going for me. And my coach said, I think we'll stick with that original agreement. Like, you're done. And my world was, like, the rug was pulled out from under me. Everything came crashing down. I didn't understand what had happened. Like, I was just killing things, doing so well, slowly working up the ranks, building that momentum, and then I was done. My team was packing up to go to San Diego, and I was packing up my apartment. I was leaving my job, I was off funding, and it was all over, and I just could not believe it. And I left, and I didn't know what to do, where to go, and so I went back to Potomac, which is, you know, where I started rowing, and luckily had a great support system because my, you know, original coach was there. I had a few coaches there and teammates, but nothing was clear. I didn't have that plan anymore. Before, I just had such a good plan. I would do whatever anyone else was doing plus some. And all of a sudden there was no more plan. I didn't trust myself because before I'd always risen up to these challenges, and I hadn't on that 6K. And it it really shook me. And so I went to Potomac, and we definitely started to kind of put the pieces back together. There was luckily my very good friend and teammate who, in 2010, she had been cut in 2011, and she had gone to Potomac and continued rowing there. So I had another sculler who was an awesome athlete. We had our original coach, and we had actually 3 coaches who kind of rallied around us. And we started to kind of try to put this double back together, but it just wasn't that easy. Like, it wasn't one of those things you picture like, oh, I'm going to rebound from this challenge. I mean, I was personally pretty heartbroken, and my partner got an injury, like a consistent injury in her back. So basically one of her discs went out, which had been happening every so often. She was out a couple weeks, and this was about after I'd been here about 3 days. And our coach had 2 jobs, so it was hard for him to come down to ever practice, and it was just like kind of a mess. We had to sort of get this thing going. Sure enough, my partner comes back, we get in a boat, 2 days later, first injury of my life, my back. Like, never had an injury before, and all of a sudden, I mean, I like to think I can do pretty much anything to my body, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't move. what's going on? I can't roll over. Like, it was like, could this really get any worse? And sure enough, like, it was just slowly getting back in the boat, and we realized, you know what, this is our one shot. Like, this is the chance to make it. We have to go to trials. We have to win the double, because although there's a few other ways to make the Olympic team, like, those aren't going to be open to us because we've been pretty much cut from the national team. So we have to go there. We have to win doubles at trials. We've got a couple weeks. We have to get our asses in gear. And we started working and trying to figure things out, getting in our lineup, working with our boat, doing our pieces, trying to get back on a plan. And so we get this crew going, and we show up in San Diego where the trials are going to be for unqualified boats, which was the women's double was one of them. And we get there. We have 3 races. We make it into the A final, and we come in 3rd. And it was like, books closed. It's done. Go home. Like, finally, I didn't even start to cry right away because I was already so heartbroken from a couple months earlier. It was just like shock. It was that moment where we turned to each other, and it was like, this is what we didn't, we were just talking the talk. We weren't walking the walk. Like, we said we wanted to come to trials. We said we had to win, but we didn't really buy in. We didn't have the mental preparation coming into this regatta. And, we could have done a lot of things differently. And it was that very real moment of like, this story's over, our Olympic dreams are done. I've been rowing, on the national team for 6 years, it's over, I'm going home. We've cracked beers, and it is just like, this is the truth, the moment of truth, where we just know that we fell short. And then our phone starts ringing, and we get a call, and the top 2 doubles declined. They declined the spot in the double to go for the quad, which had a much better chance of medaling. And also, if you made the quad out of the quad camp, you wouldn't have to go to a qualification regatta in Europe. So we're sitting there, and all of a sudden it's like, do we want the double? We have a chance to go be the double if we go to this qualification regatta in Europe. And the funny part is my partner was like, oh my God, what if they know we drank? I'm like, what? First of all, they're not going to drug test us. Second of all, it's beer. So we're like, and it was that thing where I was like, you know what? I only want this double if we're going to do it right. And that's what we said. Like, the 2 of us, Margot Shumway and Matt Madigan, our coach, was like, we're going to do this right. And we go down there, we sign the paperwork, and we had 1 month before this qualification regatta in Switzerland. And it just, like, everything changed. I realized that I had lost trust in myself when I left Princeton. My partner, she had lost trust in her body with some of her injuries, I think. And our coach had a lot of other things going on that he realized he was going to really have to pull things, and focus in on our boat. And we just all turned it over. We changed the lineup. We changed the boat. We changed our training plan. Like, we went after it. And we had these 4 weeks, and we basically just trained our butts off, but we did it smart, and we did it with purpose. We didn't just do this old training plan we had in Princeton, modified a little bit. We came up with one right just for us, and we showed up in Switzerland, and so now we have to be one of the top 2 boats there to qualify for the Olympics. It's the last chance. It's called the Regatta of Death. And we go there we've never seen an international crew in this lineup. It's just been me and Margot training at home by ourselves, not even against anyone. And so all of a sudden we're there, and we don't know how it's going to go. We just know that we have to race to the top of our ability. And we end up not even being top 2, we end up winning the regatta. And we crossed that line, from line to line, led the regatta. And we won, and I just was in total shock, because for 6 years, I didn't know I was ever going to go. Nothing was ever sure. There was always something to overcome and some new challenge. I was always hoping. I was always an Olympic hopeful. And that, when we crossed that line, no one was deciding. There was no coach who had to make the decision or cut or not. We won, and we were going. And I was going to be a 2012 Olympian. And there was nothing anyone could do about it. And it it was a moment of shock. My partner, I think, was like whooping and hollering, thought I was going to be back there like in her lap. And I was just like, is it real? Is it real? Is anyone going to cover me? What's happening? And it was, obviously it was amazing. And so we took that momentum and started building before Switzerland. And we carried that right up leading into London. We went back, we really made the effort to train with other athletes nearby, continue with that plan that had really worked well for us. And we went to London, and at that point we were ranked 9th in the world. I don't think there was a lot of expectations for us. And we got there, and there were 3 races, a heat, a rep, and the final. And we went out there in the heat not knowing how we were going to be on this world stage. Like, it's the Olympics. And you think you've been training for it forever. We would have a pretty good idea. We've watched it. We've talked about it. We have Olympians all around us. And then you get there and you're like, oh my God, it's the Olympics. And it's totally like nothing you had even imagined. And so that first race with the heats, I think we went through it and there was electricity there because we weren't last. We came in 3rd. We needed to be top 2 to qualify right for the final, and we came in 3rd. And but we weren't last, and we kind of could see where we could go. And so 2 days later, we had the rep, and we had to come in top 2 to make it to the A final. And we knew that was going to be a reach for us, but we lined up. And I think we went off the line maybe about 5th place, and we started crawling through. We'd put Romania or Ukraine behind us. We put the Netherlands behind us. We slowly worked up, put Germany behind us, and we sat in 3rd. We sat in 3rd probably, 1,000 meters more. We just kept sitting in 3rd, sitting in 3rd, sitting in 3rd. And we come to that less than 500 meters to go, and we start walking a little bit. And then now we're walking into the last 250. And we just moved together through that last 250 like we had never done before. We just kept that momentum going all the way through that line. We walked through the Czech Republic, who had been beating me for a long time. Walked through the Czech Republic and just started to walk up into China. Like, we just couldn't be stopped. And we crossed the line just a hair short of beating China, but we were in the top 2. Like, it was definitely the race of a lifetime for us. And we made it to the A final. And I think that momentum had been building ever since we didn't win trials. And we had our Olympic final, and the wind got very bad in London. And unfortunately, we were in a far lane. But I think, no matter what, we went out there and we had that final race, and we brought the same feeling. And I think, a lot of times we talk about this race of a lifetime as if it can be only one, but the key is really how many times can you perform that. That's what being, especially at the elite level, is like, how close do you always get to having the race of a lifetime? And we brought that race, I just remember going so hard, and it was almost so freeing because there was nothing after it. There was nothing dependent on this. It was going to be, it was limitless. And so we raced very, very hard, and unfortunately we did not win that race. We came in 6th in the A final. But that was kind of how that year went, and I think, it made me, oh my gosh, I never clicked through. I forgot. Okay. Well, also we'll just skip that. So,
And your time's up.
And my time's up.
Go ahead, sir. Click through. I put that motorcycle in there.
I know. I noticed the motorcycle. I was like, huh.
Yeah,
Okay. This was when we qualified for the Olympic final, and this was when we won in Lucerne. That's another angle when people are cheering, and you can see we had just come through the Czech Republic at that point. This is with us with our coach. That's us celebrating in the background. Training, more angles of these races. That was Bled. Sorry, that was back in the beginning. That was the double from 2011. He was with us with some armed guards. And then I got to meet the president. That's really is once in a lifetime, I think, unless I decided to do this all over again. And at the closing ceremonies. So. It's funny to do it in 18 minutes.
So, any questions for Sarah?
Do you have a lot of contact with the other rowers while you're at the Olympics? I mean,
Yes.
do you get to be a team besides your team?
You mean just the U.S.?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, we're I would say very close. Like there can be different schedules and different coaches have restrictions on their crews. So some people are kept kind of isolated, but especially because I had been training with all the women, or the majority of the women, for 3 years leading up to that. I mean, we're all in the same building. We eat in the same places. We travel at similar times. So I would say most of the rowers, a lot of photos that would accompany would be us under house arrest in the Olympic Village, just having a good time, trying to pass the time.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
How old were you when you first started rowing, and how long did it take for you to get bit by the bug?
I started rowing, I think, when I was about 17 or 18, because that was my senior year in high school. And I was bit pretty quickly, perhaps because I flipped wearing white pants, which I'm not really sure why I thought to wear white pants to a rowing practice, but I did, and I was in a single, and I went in the water. And I instantaneously loved it. Like, I'd never done sports like this. I was a diver, pole vaulter, gymnast, nothing endurance like this. But the balance and the challenge of it, mixed with the, getting to do it over and over again and the beauty of the sport. I mean, we all know why we love rowing. I mean, it was almost instantaneous. Plus, there were a lot of cute boys.
I have one.
Yes.
Are you retiring?
Yes. I'm looking for that new challenge.
Coaching.
Yes, I'm coaching.
At
Yale
where are you
University.
coaching? Yale University.
Yes, so naturally, you should all send me any so that
Or to Washington
I
College,
can
one of
develop them.
Are you excited to be on the other end of it?
Yes, I mean, I really loved coaching. I think the only reason I loved rowing and continued on was because of my development, especially through college. Like, my college coaches were so important, not because they were always nice, but just because I changed so much from a freshman to a senior. And so I'm very excited to be on the other side. Plus, I can have coffee all the time.
You don't have to worry about drug testing. That was great. That's good. Remember, the mic's still on here. Well, folks, that is Rowing Talks. I want to first, just a couple of things. I want to thank our sponsors again. Concept 2, who brought Oksana and Robin. That was wonderful. U.S. Rowing for all their help. Willie, who's been over here the whole day looking at the screen. Are you watching the Patriots play? What are you watching? The Colts. You're watching the Colts. Yeah.